John.
Whoa!
How are you?
So it's cold. It turned November here, and suddenly it's cold. It's like in Oklahoma they turn a page and the temperature has to drop 10 degrees Celsius. Like what's going on here? But we still have green leaves on the trees. We still have.
So our trees are now maybe 75% bare. So all of the trees in my back garden have all shed all in one weekend. I have got 16 green refuse bags filled with brown decaying leaves that I'm going to have to.
I can't top that, but I can compete. I have a pecan tree in my front yard, and about a month ago, the pecans were so deep. This is the crazy harvest. The squirrels are cursing me, saying, enough, stop, stop this. And you couldn't walk through my yard. You couldn't walk on the sidewalks because there were so many pecans. You were skating and stuff. So I raked it all up and I put it in garbage sacks. I gave it to friends who like pecans. And they said, John, these pecans are all bad. None of these are any good. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. So I put the rest of the ones I raked up in the compost. Well, last week we got windstorms, which in Oklahoma, Nick, we do wind.
Oh yeah,
we do wind here. They have a Saturday siren. That's for tornadoes. But anyway, we had real wind, and my yard was refilled with pecans. The ones, and these are relatively green, so I know they're going to be pretty good. And so yesterday I went out and I raked the yard again, and I got 3 more garbage sacks filled with pecans, and these will probably be pretty good. For a guy who doesn't like pecans and has no taste for pecan pie, it's not a thing. But anyway, it's fall, my favorite time of year. My birthday was last week, and it's cross country season. That's my happy time from high school was cross country season. So wow. All right.
Okay.
Enough chit chat.
So I'm getting Canrecchi vibrations, John, because we're back again the day after we've recorded. Because we
Don't say it. Whose birthday is it? Is it Neil Murray's birthday? What are we doing here?
Well, we had such fun yesterday on our top moments from the Strike series and Strike 8 that we just. There are too many questions, so this is a follow-up episode from yesterday's. So we're gonna continue with our top picks.
Well, the only shame of this is that we haven't posted the first one and gotten reader responses, because the reader responses they're gonna share all of their best voices, which are gonna be better. Which are gonna be better than ours, and make us feel like, wow, maybe I should have actually thought about this.
Well, I mean, knowing how great our viewers and commentators are, I'd be disappointed if they don't get better answers than us. So it'll be a lot of fun reading them.
That's
okay.
Yeah, also to have them say, really, you chose this instead of this?
Well, I'm sure. So I'm not quite sure when these are going to go out. Fairly early in the week, I would think. But assuming these videos go out on different days, I'm sure one of the first comments is going to be, really, guys, you didn't have a favorite Pat Jauncey moment? Come on, what are you thinking about? So the first one we're going to cover is our favorite chain smoking. I usually don't do this when I record. Chain smoking office manager Pat Jauncey. Favorite scenes, and this is going to be a tough pick, isn't it, John? What's your favorite scene from the Strike series?
I don't even remember what book. It's like Pat's always been there, but Pat hasn't always been there.
No.
Does Pat appear in Lethal White?
Yes, Lethal White. So she, I think she's hired off screen. She's already in position at the start of Lethal White.
She's a Robin hire, and Strike is not happy with this woman. And you know right away this is going to just be great. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, Pat and Strike, you know, the fact that she can't say his name, you know, he's in there, you know, that's what does he
Would a
think?
thank you kill you?
Well, I think my favorite Pat Chauncey moment, I think it's in Troubled Blood, because it's when he gets sick around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And that's when, of course, Janice Beatty, you know, he has the chocolates from Janice Beatty in his thing. So I think it's Troubled Blood that he's on death's door. He's in absolute misery. He's by himself. Of course, there's Charlotte stuff in the backdrop, and Robin's off at Masham, and he can't go to see Aunt Joan and Uncle Ted because he's sick as a dog. He doesn't want to, you know, kill his aunt. Not a COVID concern, but she's obviously immunocompromised or whatever. And Pat brings up food for him, and he's astonished. He really assumed that the feeling was mutual, that he despised her and she despised him, and there couldn't be any kindness or respect or shows of appreciation and affection. And Pat blows all that off them. It puts undeniably saves his life. You know, there's no way he was going to be able to even get down the stairs to get carry out or something. I mean, and that's, my heart just glows every time I read Troubled Blood a lot. You know, I must have read that, I don't know, 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
Because it was in my PhD thesis. But that part always, I just thought, oh, Pat Chauncey, you know. And what's your favorite scene?
Oh, great moment. And I know I'm probably going to get comments because there are so many great scenes. There's the bombing scene. How can I not choose the bombing scene? I mean, she saves Strike's life essentially by recognizing that left a bomb. But I'm going to choose what I think is just a marvelously comic moment from Running Grave. Running Grave is where we first see the Pat's wider life.
Spouse.
We meet her husband, but it's when she volunteers to get baby clothes for the rescued child. In the office, she gets one of her daughters to deliver some baby clothes that's no longer needed, and she leaves the office to meet her daughter on the corner of the street. Why? Because she signed a non-disclosure agreement. So she's treating working for Strike as sort of like working for the CIA or the British Secret Service. She doesn't tell her family what her job is, who her employer is, even where she works, which I just think is so charmingly enthusiastic.
I guess. I mean, we saw Robin do the same thing when she first came to the office, right? I mean, that
Yeah,
NDA
yeah.
was like, "Oh, look at me! I'm on the team. You know, this is a great thing." Now that's that. Yeah, okay, I get that. There are other things. There's scenes where, I think it's in Troubled Blood too, where she's dancing in the office to like 80s or 60s, 70s tunes. You know,
Yeah,
and that gives the clue to where, you know, Diamond is hiding.
yeah.
I mean, those are great scenes. And then just the asides, you know, the
Yeah.
dropping things. All right, Pat Chauncey. How about the Hallmark Man?
So there's not, and it's one of the real, I guess, minor frustrations. There's not a lot of Pat in Hallmark Man.
Yeah, Pat gives great value. We don't get much value. We don't get much great stuff.
No, we don't. But of course, we get the goldfish. So we get this, and again, just another beautiful, gentle dig at Strike. The misshapen, fancy goldfish, the Oriana blue, that is manages to find himself upside down in the tank half the time. She names Strike. There's the pretty goldfish called Robin, and then there's the third wheel, the variously named John goldfish John. So it's we get it's Elton, and what was the other name?
Travolta.
Yes, Travolta.
Yeah, I'm not taking that as a shot. I'm not. Sorry, the dead goldfish. Whatever. I'm with one of our more astute Hog Pro All Pros said that this is her assignation for Murphy,
Yeah.
and that Murphy is he's gonna be taken out of the tank eventually. She gives him the pop star name,
Yeah.
a faddish thing that will just fade into the background. I guess I love the goldfish. I've written about it. Oops, that's going to be one I have to put down below all the stuff we've written about goldfish and talked about the
Yeah.
goldfish. That's a big deal. I mean, fish is a go-to image in Rowling's work for Christ. After that Caravaggio painting that she loved so much, we certainly saw that in Running Grave with the fish pendant that Mama Mazu had on. And here I think we're seeing it in these fish.
Yeah.
This Eros, Anteros being the love of Christ. And then of course there's the peas, the mashed peas thing that is about the bond that Strike has with Robin that go all the way back to that engagement ring pea, when she has her first fight with Matt about Strike.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of frozen peas in this thing that are really about that bond. A Hogwarts Professor weblog commenter pointed out that Strike apparently is a type of English pea. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay. All right. Anyway, so yeah, the only other, my favorite Pat scene in in Hallmark Man is because there's never really nothing else left, Nick.
No.
After the fish is her role in the final chapter.
Yeah.
Strike has finally, only one book overdue. Strike has just revealed his hand to Robin in desperation, really, as he realizes she's about to go off, and he knows that Murphy is going to propose. He has the ring, and he has to reveal his hand and say, or regret it the rest of his life. And so, to his credit, all the time we've had him talking about going out on the trapeze, about to swing on the trapeze. That's like he is on the top of that stairwell.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he jumps. He jumps. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. But it was honest. It was brutal. Even invite her into a hug. Maybe that was really his big mistake. But and he's rebuffed. At least temporarily. She says that she's not going to have any relationship with him until at least she breaks it off with her beau. She's not going to be like Matt was to her.
No.
Which people took that really took that as, I have to be faithful to Ryan. I think that is Ryan's on his way out. But again, that's all going to come down to the crone, the Jungian crone coming in and laying out how Robin should lead her life. I think Robin's going to have some real guidance in the next book. But Strike has to climb back up to Cupid's lair there at the top of the stairs. And he actually thought of suicide at one point during Hallmark Man. He had a momentary thought of suicide crossing the street when the whole Bijou thing was blowing up. And I was thinking, man, it would be a credible suicide if he just said, I'm done. None of this has any value to me if this woman walks out. And there at the top of the stairs is Pat Chauncey. And she's real. She doesn't offer him condolences. She doesn't offer him even sympathy, really.
No.
She just says, well, that was, a dog's mess. What you expect her to take that? Are you out of your? Betty says you're out of your mind. But then she comforts him just by being with him and being real.
Yeah.
That's what he needed more than anything else. If there's a bridge between, between 8 and books 9 and 10, Pat Chauncey is the bridge.
Yeah.
Of course, it's, it highlights one of the stupid things of the books. If you're thinking about the books as realistic, and whether it's I really hate that metric for judging a book's value as to whether it seems realistic to you or not, but especially in books that have so much allegorical content. But I don't like to use realism as a metric for this book's value. It's got so much allegorical and anagogical content. But in terms of realism, if Strike wanted to engage with Robin, as in make an engagement, break up her relationship with Ryan, one phone call to Ilsa, and that's covered. Yeah. Totally done. Or he mentions it to Pat and says, Pat, I love this woman. What should I do? And whether she gave him good or bad advice, Pat would be engaged, and the story would take an entirely different turn. Almost certainly she would drop the things to Robin to say, you really need to talk to this guy. I think he's in love with you, and you need to, you plumb this thing out. He doesn't talk to Ilsa or to Pat. And so that's it goes back to what Peters Grove said about Goblet of Fire. All that Faux Moody has to do in Goblet of Fire is invite Harry in for tea and make his cup into a port key, and bang it, we're done. End of story. It's over. Oh well. Pat Chauncey is a neglected character, but is solid gold, and she's really neglected inside this book. Other than the really fun lines that she has about what we're going to put into the fish tank. I'm not going to put a cat in it, we don't really get enough Pat Chauncey in this book, which was a disappointment. All right, on to the next. What's our next category here?
Okay, so next we have so we've gone from many comic scenes, I think, to a serious. So the one scene that you remember most often, or that changed your life. Wow. So what do you think, John, for the whole series? It's a lot of words.
I mean, this one, yeah, and this one, it's almost like the opening your heart moment.
Yeah.
We had this one in the previous show. I'm going to go for the scene that most upset me. Well, there's two of them. I'm going to go with two, Nick. Forget. I'm going to give yours. How about that? Now I'm going to give you a favorite one. There's two. One is the running grave box scene on Chapman Farm, where Robin is punished by being put into a very small box and locked in overnight. Is it overnight or is it for a full day?
It's she has trouble working out timings, but I think it's overnight. Obviously, it feels long.
You sort of have the feeling like, well, for Robin especially, who's already PTSD.
Yeah.
This is being forced to be with yourself in your grave. I mean, it is the grave of running grave. It is where she is buried alive. And she comes out of that, absolutely transformed. She's totally broken. The box does exactly what it's supposed to do. It shatters her psychologically. And yet, she has an epiphany, especially consequent to seeing the boy who's a prisoner, the handicapped child that is been cared for by its mother in an attic. She has an epiphany that Strike is there. She has a bond with Strike there. That in a way, her soul's dissolution, all of her ego identity and ideas of herself have been broken, and she has her relationship with Strike. She has her Anteros core, and that to me was the moment. That to me, that shattering experience was not as shattering to me, obviously, but as a reader experiencing it imaginatively, that I thought was Rowling's most powerful thing. All the stuff that Robin has dealt with before, people knifing her, people trying to rape her in a car, people raping her, period. All of those things were horrible, but they were things that she could fight back against. But now she's in a box and all she has is herself, and she, implodes. That was the psychological crisis to me of the entire series. It didn't change my life, but if someone says to me, what is the depth of the Cormoran Strike series? Boy, that was it. That was Robin becoming her chrysalis as a person was inside that box. Top that, Nick.
Okay.
I got another one too. Yeah, another one too.
So I've always had a soft spot for Lucy Fantoni, and the reason why I've always had a soft spot is it's that great double take of somebody that is using complete conformity as radical rebellion. So she has this suburban house with the picket fence and the neatly mowed lawn. She's perfectly normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And she's this is her act of rebellion. This is her rebellion about her childhood and leader and rugby and all of the wild, unconventional things that she's experienced growing up. So it's conformity as an act of rebellion, and we really see what that little girl went through. We first saw it in Running Grave when Strike comes to visit Lucy, just to warn her that he's going back to the Norfolk Commune, and we hear the story of her molestation as a little girl that she has never spoken to anyone since the first time this came up. And what was even more heartbreaking is we see her basically crumple and destroy on the page, and then her husband and the kids come home, and the mask goes on, and the not talking about it goes on, and the husband is dispatched and the kids are dispatched to the back garden to shoot each other with bows and arrows. And I missed the Cupid reference until my friend from Oklahoma pointed it out to me. When she
can,
well,
arrows and arrows, right? I mean, that was the moment.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's okay. Wow, that's good. That's good. I try to live my life in a measured, excuse me, a measured bit of madness, and that my only convention was to be unconventional and in being traditional. So that scene didn't make that impression on me, Nick. But that's great. I mean, I guess you're more the radical conformist. Someone's got to do the lake story behind Nick Jeffries someday to find out what's really going on in there. That my second scene that was right up there with Robin in the box was in the Midlands pub where Strike interviews the mother of Donnie Lang's first victim,
Barrow and Furnace. Yeah.
That scene at Barrow and Furnace and her description of Donnie Lang and her palpable fear of Lang and her hatred of Lang and her gratitude to Strike.
Sorry, but forgive me, that was Melrose in Scotland.
Barrow and Furnace is where the submarine place is.
Yeah.
The Melrose Yellow something. What was
the Yellow Rose? The Yellow Rose, very famous rugby town.
Well, that scene where it's such a brilliant character sketch. It's meant to be in a way just an information dump.
Yeah.
Rowling is just giving us
No, we don't. I guess because the sister, abused as she was, she's not a likable character. We feel sorry for her, but we don't empathize with her.
Mother. I felt really sad. This woman she's still very much a prisoner of that whole Freudian family romance, that incest. So okay, I stand corrected. We did get. Was it Holly Brockbank?
Yes, Holly and Noel, the Christmas twins.
Painful. Okay, but Whittaker. Tell me, with Whittaker, we get that girl. We get the young girl.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So maybe I'll have to withdraw that. We don't get this for the other characters. We got some pretty sympathetic characters, but still, the Melrose scene to me was a haunting piece, and really to me almost. Well, there wasn't much to celebrate in Career of Evil. That was a scene to celebrate. That was a rolling vignette. That was powerful. All right. What's your most powerful scene in Hallmarked Man? What's going to be the thing that haunts you, Nick, from Hallmarked Man?
Okay, so for me, it was Ryan's breakdown. Okay, Ryan F. Murphy, we don't like him, but he has he's an alcoholic. Alcoholism is a sickness. Addiction is a sickness that unmans you, unpersons you if you're a woman, but it really destroys what it is to be human. And we know he's lying. She knows he's lying. He knows he's lying. And when he's confronted with it, he weeps. He just breaks down, completely unmanned on the page. And I have an addiction. I'm an addict. It's thank God I'm not addicted to alcohol. I'm not addicted to gambling. But this is not an uncommon problem in modern society. And I think the way Rowling wrote that, Yeah, I did. I really felt for Ryan. Don't trust him an inch. I think he cast a pitiful character, but I don't think by any means he's given up drinking. I don't think that's even occurred to him. I think that's the way the sickness makes you react. But that was really powerful for me.
Well, there's no arguing that it was really powerful for you, Nick.
Yeah.
um, so no pushback there. I spent yesterday in Tecumseh, Oklahoma, which is a story I'll have to explain some other time. And on the way back, I said to my wife, "How about we stop and have dinner at the casino?" This casino is all over Oklahoma because of the Native American tribes here and their ability to open casinos. The biggest one near Oklahoma is the Grand Casino. And so we'd never been to a casino in Oklahoma. We went there, and it was early Saturday afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a casino. It has like 7 restaurants in it, and it's got a hotel that's you could put, most small cities in Oklahoma inside the hotel. But Nick, people my age, obese as a rule, they looked like they were all retired, basically. The crowd you'd expect in a casino on a Saturday afternoon early, around lunchtime. Because they want to get out of the house and because they want to have an inexpensive meal. The restaurants there are always cheap to get you to go to the tables. And they were sitting in front of the screens. And my wife and I just walked around thinking, wow, just grateful to God that we didn't have this addiction. It wasn't any great moral strength on our part. We just didn't have any
No,
temptation to put our money in machines.
no. And
But
I
these people
think
all look like
I think
human zombies.
I I've been lucky again, but by providence, in that I've never won anything in on a game of chance ever. So I entered the national lottery for a year, and it's statistically very unlikely that you don't pick up even a minor prize if you play it every week for a year. Never won a thing.
Um, C.S. Lewis talked about how it was easy for him to be forgiving about alcoholism, gambling, these kind of really mental illnesses that have physical correspondence.
Yeah.
But I mean, he said it was easy for him to not be judgmental about that because he didn't like children. And he said he realized this was a failing in him. Everybody around him loved being around young children. And, Lewis was a man of conversation. He couldn't really talk to these kids. And so it was like, I don't like being with children. And he recognized that as a thing. And apparently got over it with his wife's children. She had, it was her second marriage. But yeah, that's the way I feel about that. I mean, I like children, so I don't have that. But I have never won, and I can't drink. I'm too small to drink. If any alcohol beside a beer, get the bucket, Nick. You'll be carrying me around in a bucket. I'm totally going. So I've been saved those things. But man, anyway, so I get it. Powerful scene in Murphy. But that scene didn't affect me at all because I didn't like Murphy already. I was just kind of like, well, what aren't you really telling her? I felt he was already holding stuff back. I didn't get into the sympathy for him in that scene. I didn't fall into the Robin trap. I mean, you talked yesterday about where Roland can say, "Look over here, Nick."
Yeah.
I think you got caught in a look over here, Nick. Have sympathy for Ryan. I was already in full resistance to that. Now maybe I'm being caught into the Ryan F. Murphy trap. Look over here, Ryan's a bad guy. Yeah, Ryan's a bad guy. Gosh, that's really the brilliance of the writers. You can't tell which way to look. She's going to deceive you, whatever. Now I'm with most people. I think the only scene I'll take away from the only thing I take away from this book as it is, rather
Yeah.
than what it's going to show me in the next two books, is the finale.
Yeah.
It's the scene that we went through that whole book to get there. It was the drop off point at the end of Running Grave, and then we had to go all the way through Hallmarked Man to get to the scene that should have been the scene at the end of Running Grave. And it was meaningful. It was set up. It was the point of the book was both of them being so confused and so incapable of communicating, and finally they were forced into the communication. Where Robin is embarrassed that Strike knows that Murphy's going to propose, that this kind of secret is known to everybody, and that Robin only knows about it because she found the thing. That was well done. It's well done. But to me, that being the best scene in the book, compared to the box in Running Grave, or Donnie Lang's mother-in-law in Career of Evil, or Margot Bamborough's being discovered in Troubled Blood, or you could pull, I think, a scene from any one of the first 7 books, and it would be bigger than the finale of Strike 8. And that's a bust, because the delivery of that peak thing is really is why people are coming back to these novels. That this book didn't have one, you better hope they're on the train to get you to 9 and 10, because 8 is kind of a fail in terms of that kind of engagement. All right, that was, boy, we took a trip to the casino on that one, Nick. That was pretty good. Oh, here's my favorite.
Okay.
The text within the text.
We get a few of those.
I've got 2 on this one too, man. This is I couldn't make up my mind. What have you got for this, Nick?
Okay, so I'm going to be Captain Obvious for this one. So if we're going to talk a text within a text, then it's got to be the book about a book that wasn't the book that the author wrote. So Bombix Mori, and whichever version of Bombix Mori you wish to take, whether it's the original or the faux Bombix Mori that we actually get to read. It's Rowling's take on the over-intellectual postmodern author that's trying to write a book that's never been written before. It's trying to shock. It's Rowling's often been criticized by prize-winning authors and world-renowned critics for her lack of the poetic style. And she's giving us a book here where it's all poetry and all completely hideous. I think she was having fun with that.
Okay, that is champion. I want to point out something that I don't think we've talked about this before, but as you mentioned, there are 2 Bombix Moris.
Yeah.
There's the one that was written by Owen Quine.
Yeah.
And there's one that's written by Elizabeth Tassel. And there's an overlap that we know had to have been a full overlap. We don't know whether the allegorical stuff, the Pilgrim's Progress stuff, we don't know if that's exactly what was in the original, or even remotely like it was. That might have been entirely Elizabeth Tassel's invention.
We know there's a character list using normal names rather than these allegorical names.
But we do know that there's one scene in Elizabeth Tassel's book that is also in Owen Quine's original. The murder scene. Yeah, the murder scene.
Do we know that's
there's no way that Quine agrees to being tied up and pictured, except he knows that's a climactic scene in his book.
That's true, but we don't know. In fact, it's probably more likely than not that in the original book, that isn't an evisceration or a murder scene, or a scene where the author comes to physical harm.
Okay, maybe, but it doesn't make much sense in terms of the table, the table setting we assume was there when he goes in there. And I think that Quine's image about the light inside of him as the author, that the silkworm is going to excrete, is going to, be boiled alive for, is what is dragged out of him. So I think I'm going to assume that, that he is eviscerated there in his own book. He certainly doesn't expect Elizabeth Tassel to eviscerate him, but I think those two books are there, and really in terms of, because that's the Ur the Ur Cormoran Strike novel. That's the one that she first thought of.
Yeah,
and it's the heart of the whole text within the text stuff that Rowling does. Really, we should do it. I mean, in terms of that being a golden thread. Did we talk about that during the Conrecki? I mean, that is one of her signature golden threads, is the text within the text. Yeah. I got two texts within the text. One is from the Silkworm, which, as you said, really is the pinnacle. The title of the book is the title of the book is the title of the book. I mean, it's one of those. Mise en Abîme is about, the mirrored thing going all the way through it, and that's really what you get with Silkworm. Yeah. That's great. But inside that text, we get that Catherine Kent blog post about what it means to write, about narrative and plot, and about, Suzette and Fabula and the whole formalist idea of story, which is essential to understand what a mystery is. Rowling just drops that text within the text there. Hard to overestimate the importance of that, and Catherine Kent being, Rowling's stand-in in the book. It's what does the K stand for in J.K. Rowling, Nick?
Kathleen. So that was her grandmother's name. Yeah.
So close to Catherine.
Yeah.
Call it Catherine. It's a Japanese Catherine. All right. Anyway, only Nippon-ophiles can make those jokes, right? Yeah. Anyway, so the best text within a text by far, I think even greater than Bombyx Mori, because we don't see that much of Bombyx Mori. I mean, we get told stories, we all get little shots of it. But in Troubled Blood, again, if not Rowling's best book, then there's Christmas Pig, there's Deathly Hallows, but only in Troubled Blood do we get, and of course it's taking me forever to find one, do we get, come on, guy. Nick, this is so embarrassing. There we go. Only in Troubled Blood do we get the illustrated text. Talbot's true book, is the text inside the text which drives the text. They're trying to figure out what these occult symbol sets mean. And Nick, they never figure it out.
No.
They go through all the lettering and the imagery and this and that, but it's left to the reader, the discerning reader, to figure out that there is a 3-card tarot card spread embedded in each one of those pictures. I mean, this is embedded artistry and text within a text that is not to be believed. I mean, I started it. I haven't even finished. I've started, but I haven't finished, going back and doing Talbot's true book justice in terms of interpreting that book. But, they're spending all their time trying to figure out the astrological chart that's in Talbot's true book, and all these, trying to figure out what the meaning of that book is, so that they can understand what Talbot was, any clues that Talbot might have left behind, while we're reading a book trying to figure out the clues and what they may have missed. So it really is a mirrored image of the reader and the characters in the book pursuing the same mission. It's such a critical part of Troubled Blood. I mean, Strike mentions it in his final confrontation with Janice Beatty, that he thought Talbot was onto her. So this is I mean, seriously, that's a text within a text.
And I think
what have you got?
I think anyone who's still skeptical that J.K. Rowling really is reading is writing chiastic chapters within chiastic parts of a book within a chiastic novel that sits within a chiastic series that parallels a
in
previous
parallel with the rest.
with a previous series that she's written. Anyone that doubts that this is possible for a human being to do, then well, take a look at what she's done with the True Book. This is the way Rowling works. This is the way her head works. This is just like breathing for her.
What she does.
Yeah.
This is the way. This is the way Rowling rolls. Is this kind of artistry? That's why we're here. I mean, seriously, if this, we're not doing this for, the guy who wrote the Da Vinci Code. We're not doing this for him. Anyway,
Dan Brown.
Dan Brown. Yeah, we're not doing this for him. What do we got for text within a text in Hallmarked Man?
So we were cast iron promised on Twitter, and as you know, John, a Twitter promise is legally enforceable.
Yes.
So we were promised it was going to be Maid of the Silver Sea. So we were given this text nice and early. It was really in parallel with us finding out the name of the novel, Hallmarked Man. Rowling's on strike. We get Maid of the Silver Sea. We know it's going to be used in the epigraphs. This is our text within a text. So I don't
Did you read it?
Absolutely. No, I don't know. I don't know what publishing sales are like for this forgotten Victorian novel that nobody's read in the last 100 years, probably. But an awful lot of the fandom got Maid of the Silver Sea, and it was used for a lot of the epigraphs, used for the part epigraphs. It's a really nice novel. It's a really good story. I'm interested in reading maybe some of his other novels. It has a wonderful surprise ending that resonates with strike fans, I think. And certainly the epigraphs were appropriate, mining for silver as a parallel to investigation. Is it a text within a text? Not really. I don't think. I think she fell in love with the book. I think she fell in love with Sark. Certainly it encapsulates Sark. If you've never been to Sark, if you don't understand the society of Sark, that's a great introduction. If for nothing else, to get you to understand what Sark is before Strike and Robin go there within the book. But is it a text within a text? Well, John, no, not really. What have you got?
First, I want to say that if I hadn't already talked about Strike and Robin in Sark, I would have said that was the most moving scene in the book.
Yeah.
They're on the island, and Strike's been hit in the face with a spade. He's disfigured, and she's paralyzed because he's going to share the whole experience about the ectopic pregnancy. And okay, that was a wow. But Maid of the Silver Sea is used in some of the chapters, relatively few, and most of them are used for the parts, and they're only references to mining, which is a backdrop to Maid of the Silver Sea. It's not a major piece of it. So that was like, oh wow, we got played. Those of us who read the book, I know one serious striker read everything by Oxenham. That's ouch. And you compare that with not only Bombyx Mori and the True Book, which are embedded text inside the thing, but then there's things like the Jacobean revenge drama Type, and the Ian Rankin type novel in Career of Evil, and then Rosmare's Home in Lethal White, and then the king of them all, of course, is Fairy Queen in Troubled Blood. I mean, not only you get Talbot's True Book, but you get a double dose of from Fairy Queen in that you get Robin and Strike as Red Cross Knight and Una, as well as them being the male and female knight figures from Artegall and such. And that's artistry. And then you get then Ink Black Heart even has all that heart imagery from Venetian women poets. And in this book, you got a choice. After you've been suckered, look over here, Nick, by Maid of the Silver Sea. You get maybe Rowling's production company is going to make a movie out of Maid of the Silver Sea. It's going to bring some production values to Sark. But anyway, you get most of the epigraphs that are substantial, that really give you good value, as Ron would say, are from male poets, male Victorian poets, especially Robert Browning. Yeah. I mean, that stuff is really rich, and I'm still thinking that what is it? The ring in the book, is going to be I'm looking down on my floor here because I got my copy of it down on the floor there. That's going to be. We're going to find out that that's sort of the text within the text, and it hasn't been done yet. Who hasn't done that work yet, Nick? I haven't done that work yet. And where is the literary illusions lady? Why isn't she doing the Browning research? This is her bailiwick, right? All right, but that work can be done. But the only text we get inside the text that I think is really meaningful is the monstrous, encyclopedic morals and dogma of the ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry. I don't know if it's my lights are too bright on the thing for you to see that, but this is Albert Pike's book. And I'm telling you, folks, this is not big type. This is really a long and it talks about every one of the 33 rites in Scottish Freemasonry, and their what it means really to go through these rites. This is quite the text, and they refer to it repeatedly, especially in terms of they have one passage that's repeated twice about sacrificing a unit to save a larger unit of people. You have to blow up the bridge, and a company of men is going to die on that side of the canyon, but you save the battalion from being overrun by the people coming in. So Hardacre comes down and talks to Strike and quotes that passage to him, and then the M15 representative says something almost exactly like it, which Strike says, you must be a reader of Albert Pike, Confederate States of America general and Freemason scribe.
Just before the comments come in, so the M15 is a motorway, but the MI5 is the intelligence organization.
Okay, so it's not M15, which I've read every time I've seen that in print for how many decades? Too many decades. But it's MI5 because, of course, it's MI5. All intelligence agencies have to have an I in the center, right?
That's right.
They're Masons.
That's right.
They're Masons. It's an embedded I. Okay. Silly me. Anyway, we find out that our MI5 character at the end of the book is a Mason because he quotes that exact passage, and Strike says, been reading your Albert Pike recently? But that's, just taking one step back from that, which isn't hard to do here. That's a pretty weak text within a text.
Yeah.
Strike doesn't quote any, Victorian men poets, or even the classicists, poets of the 20th century. All he gets is Albert Pike. And Nick, in terms of text within a text, there's plenty of them in Hallmark, man.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that they don't measure up to the best in the series. Which
you know, the best in the series is so good. Maybe we're asking a bit much. But yeah, you're right. And I think yeah, I did feel a little bit cheated. I was expecting more of Made for the Silver Sea after Lethal White, after Running Grave. They were both so well chosen, useful, enlightening as you read them before you read the chapter that I was expecting more.
maybe we should have lowered our expectations after reading Made of the Silver Sea. I mean, it was good. It was a fun read.
Yeah.
Nothing really that memorable though after Ibsen and Spencer.
Yeah.
Just saying, or Hamlet, the Jacobean revenge drama we all had to read as adolescents. I mean, that's yeah. Oxenham doesn't have that prestige. All right, let's move on to funniest.
Well,
what do you think is the funniest scene in the 7 books, man?
So Rowling is known for her humor. If you read the very early reviews of Philosopher's Stone when it first came out, she was compared to Roald Dahl, largely because of the humor that she injects into the books. It's the reason why she won the Smarties Award. It's the reason why kids were recommending this book to each other. Word of mouth was the humor that she injects into the story. So there is loads to choose from. The humor in her Galbraith novels are usually more adult, of course, and for me, I know when Barclay's in a scene, there's going to be some humor, and I'm going to pick the Barclay and Strike meet up in Ink Black Heart. They are both trailing suspects of being enemy. The suspects converge on a pub. Barclay and Strike meet together, clearly under the cloak of pretending that they have met each other on a gay dating site and have joined to meet up in this pub as their first face-to-face encounter. Uh, Laugh out loud funny on the page.
It is, but that's good. And it's interesting that another one of the funniest characters in the books has a gay thing. Is am I going to forget his name now? Guy Sommet.
Guy Sommet.
Guy Sommet is one of my son's favorite characters, and is so hopeful based on ring composition that Sommet is coming back in Strike 10. And I get it. I was looking for him in Strike 4 or 5. I was like, come on. And the great thing about Guy Sommet isn't that he's a camp gay artist. Okay. And people can say it's almost like, blackface Sambo type character in fiction, but he has so many zinger lines that are brilliant to Strike. I think my favorite one, I'm gonna botch it here because it says my favorite and botch it, is not all black men in London know each other. This may come as a surprise to you, Corporal Ropey, but or Master Ropey. But not all black men in London know each other. That was such. I mean, and Strike doesn't even blink. Just no. Nice line. Next, But anyway, that's interesting. It's just I also have a Barclay scene as my favorite, and it has an edge to it though. It's the scene in Lethal White when they go to dig up what they think may be a child who's been buried on the property, the Chisel property. And Strike and Robert are in the car. Barclay drives up. They've all got they're carrying all these things, and we have Strike doing his "I'm a manly man even though I only have 1.5 legs," which is, forgive me, it's meant to win your sympathy. You know, it's the cat in
Yeah.
the tree of all screenplays and stuff, but it's also funny. You know, this guy just can't admit that he's lost half a leg. You know, and the whole scene there where they're joking and bantering and yet working very hard, and there's the anticipation of some find, and what they get is a pony head. That was, now maybe that was horrific to some people, but to me, compared to finding the remnants of a child, that was almost, it was almost a laugh until you cry moment, because it was such a relief.
Particularly because you see the blanket, don't you? And the child is described as wrapped in this blanket, and they find the blanket, and oh.
Yeah, and then of course the dogs start coming, and they have the
Yeah.
scenes with the dogs and everything. I mean, this was gold in terms
Yeah.
of the trio. That to me was the troll moment from Philosopher's Stone, where you can't go through something like that and not wind up being friends. That was when Barkley was really pulled into the team. That was they're never going to fire Barkley after the pony head exhumation scene. Anyway, so those are some funny scenes, and yeah, we're going to get killed in the comments. People are like, you think that was really funny? Okay. What's your funniest scene in Strike 8?
Well, there were a few. So Strike's reflections of struggling on Sark and imagining Murphy leaping fences like a gazelle were quite funny. But I'm still drawn to Barkley and the prawn. So Barkley's kryptonite, this tough Scottish ex-soldier, brings his own knuckle dusters to go up to Ironbridge, is laid low by the humble prawn.
Well, and Mia, you've already talked about this one too, which I think is talking
Yeah.
about how thin Strike 8 is, that when we're talking about these scenes, we have to talk about the same
Yeah.
scenes. For me, it's Branford's at dinner with Kim Cochran.
Ah.
When Strike turns the tables on them, and Robin saying at the end of it, "You'll have to forgive me for really enjoying that."
Yeah.
That to see Branford, who always plays this patrician fop, all of a sudden realize that Strike has him by the short hairs and is ready to expose him for what he really is. And pay for your own effing dinner, or whatever. That's that departure, and then of course Kim Cochran realizing that she's been filmed.
Yeah.
That Branford's been filming her sexuality in that apartment. That shouldn't be that funny, but it's funny.
No, it shouldn't be, and it is. There's a guilty tinge to it, because yes, Kim has been vile through the book, and she is being vile right up until that dinner. And you do get Schadenfreude, and then you stop and you think, no, this woman has been subjected to the most vile voyeurism, the threat of that now being public. But yeah, I don't think you'd be human if there wasn't a little bit of, now, Kim, you've got yours.
And a throwback to, what is it, the end of Goblet of Fire, where the Weasley twins torture the Slytherins and do a combination of hexes and charms, and leave them with their skin all broken out and stuff them into luggage overheads. I mean, horrible things that they do, and the reader, at least on the first time, goes, "Oh yeah, they deserve it, those
Yeah.
bad guys." But one step back and you're like, "Oh, come on, man, those guys have got parents. This is nuts. If they did that to you, we'd feel terrible. Here, when Kim Cochran, you described her as vile, and that gives you a little bit of a passage to laugh out loud when she's violated. Just a little play on the word there.
Yeah.
But that violation ultimately is like, oh, now Strike didn't do it to her. He just revealed to her that Branford had done it to her. But still, that dinner flip, that whole scene, because it's so laden with tension. I mean, Robin is really afraid that they're in trouble now.
Yeah.
That thing, when they go in there, and instead Strike just masterfully, he finds out, the name of the man whose marriage Cochran blew up when she was a cop. I mean, man, that all was great. That was great.
Okay.
So of all that scene was so good for me.
Yeah.
That was like, this is like the only one I thought, well, that actually rates with the best in the series. But other than that, there wasn't much to laugh at in this book.
No. Okay. So how about the big moments then? How about the moment where you drop your book? The surprising scenes, the thing that stops you in your tracks.
Well, for me in the series, I've already talked about Robin in the box as being the most important scene. And after that, it's Robin escaping. Yeah, which I think is just what the next chapter. And she knows that Strike is there, and she's got like this homing signal. And there's the chase scene. It's just the chase scene. I guess I'm more a movie guy than I think I am, Nick, because there has to be a chase scene in the book, right? And she's chased off the property, and it's a near thing. And Strike rescues her. We talked about that. You think that was your favorite rescue moment?
Yeah.
Or her taking care of that moment. That scene, especially being consequent to Robin's finding the child in the attic.
Yeah.
And her decision right then that this is when I leave. I know Strike is out there. That was my drop the book moment. It was just like, I think you said too, the Running Grave, when they actually solve the murder mystery.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, this was a murder mystery. It wasn't a break the cult movie. It was a solve the crime thing. That was my favorite thing there. Oops. My battery is about to die. There we go. Plug that back in. Anyway, what have you got for your drop the book moment, Nick?
So I was very tempted by that escape from Chapman Farm. And it's every time I think about it, that it swaps place with, I think, the denouement of Ink Black Heart, where we have Damaged Strike and Robin Athena breaking in and effectively saving a mother and a small child's life.
I hope you mean Artemis, not Athena, but go ahead.
Artemis. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Artemis. I think that was, it caught me by surprise because yet again, it's a case I failed to solve until Strike solved it. And it was, again, it was a thriller finish. There was genuine jeopardy. You've got Strike stabbed, bleeding out by the door. You've got the psycho moment of axe wielding homicidal maniac breaking down the door. Really exciting stuff.
Okay. I mean, that scene is the whole Ink Black Heart thing. I'll always think of because my son, who is an accomplished cellist, he's taking up the guitar, but he's quite the cellist, and he's almost exactly the same age as the crazed murderer in Ink Black Heart.
Yeah, but is he really playing the cello, John? Are you sure that's not a recording?
We live in a pretty small bungalow, Nick. It's if he's pulled that off. Anyway, he's also pulled it off in front of concert audiences. That he said he sort of took the edge off the book for me, Dad.
Yeah.
Does she hate you that much that she would make me the murderer and you the bad dad? How is that? I was like, okay, I don't think so, son. Plus, my son is, as you know, has a name that's like out of a Rowling novel. It's like, oh wow, straight out of Dostoevsky.
Straight out of a Dostoevsky novel, yeah.
Anyway, that's good. That's good. What's your killer moment for Hallmark Man?
Okay, I'm going to go. I am a thriller junkie, so I'm going to go for the denouement again in Ironbridge. So the mob-handed gang warfare that Strike leads up in Ironbridge, completely illegal, unethical, mob-handed violence. If it wasn't for Wardle, there could well have been a murder up there. So it's very exciting stuff. Troubling, because where is, I mean, Robin is usually Strike's conscience, but I still want to see the Strike who threatens to do awful things, but he does things by the book to get justice. He doesn't really deliver punishment. He was the Punisher up in Ironbridge, but exciting nonetheless.
I guess first I want to say that I had no drop the book moment in Hallmark Man. I just didn't. I mean, there's exciting scenes. Right? If I was doing about exciting scenes, then it would be again the chase scene where the dogs are chasing Strike. That on Valentine's Day, and he's getting a snoot full of pepper spray. I mean, that's also kind of funny, but there was nothing drop the book about it, other than that was when Robin says, "Oh, okay." Maybe it's the scene where he tells her, but just before that about the whole Bijou thing, and he's not the father of Bijou's child. What a relief that is. We think
for the moment.
That's right. That's look over here, Nick. Look.
But it's fine. Look,
baby.
But it's fine. Look, Bijou says the test says it's not you. It's fine.
That's right. I don't have any evidence of this, but that is no drop the book moment for me in Hallmark Man. I didn't have any. Can you believe it? No, a lot of page turning things because there are a lot of pages, but no real thing there, and that's. We said that the Lord Branford scene, Brandfoot, is it Brandfoot or Brandford? I don't even remember their names.
Bramfoot. I think it's Bramfoot.
Okay, I'm saying Brandford. Shame on me. MI5, M15. Brandford. People don't pay me for that kind of insight, Nick. I don't get all this.
Bramfoot,
I'm like rolling. I don't have any control of details here. Outside of the Bramford scene being really funny, I think it may have only been really, really funny because there weren't that many other funny scenes inside the book. So we were like, oh, we finally get to laugh at somebody, right? That one I just give a fail. I didn't see how I dropped the book moment. Okay, how about narrative misdirection? Where we're talking about this. Look left, Nick. There it is. But reality's over here on the right, just off stage. But if you hadn't been looking so hard to the left, you would have seen it. It's there.
I'm just such a sucker punch for narrative misdirection. I mean, Silkworm, for goodness sake, and I know I'm not the only one, but we were introduced within the first quarter of the book to somebody with really quite severe lung damage. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
well, everything misdirects me, but there is only one book that managed to make me forget that I was reading a detective whodunit murder mystery, and that was Running Grave. Um, it turned in such to a thriller, an adventure novel, so completely that the reveal for me wasn't so shocking that it was the person that I didn't think it was. The reveal was that, oh, wait, there's a reveal now. I wasn't expecting a reveal.
Okay. And that brings up a point. That we talked in the first couple of times we talked about Hallmark Man, about what we can be sure people will be saying about Hallmark Man
Yeah.
in 10 or 15 years, And we came up with three big points for that. But one of the things that I think you just talked about was Running Grave as a cult novel. That I put it out as a theory. I don't know when. It was. I think it was may have been Career of Evil. That Rowling was writing a series like the Boris Akunin novels. Excuse me. I think there's what, they made close to 20 of those, in which this Georgian writer, now living in London, I think, because he's been put out by the Putin people, who wrote this series of novels featuring a Russian detective in the late 19th century. Every book is a different genre of thriller, detective novel, etc. A specific type. To include one in the Far East, Nick, you'd love it. I mean, it really is. It's just brilliantly done. Yeah, he puts a James Bond novel in early 20th century Russia. Now that series is so brilliantly done, and I don't know if Rowling's read it. I just never mentioned that writer, but it looks like that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
You'd have to, and I think in 10 or 15 years we'll be talking about what each one of these books is.
It's got to be very tempting,
And
I would imagine, for an author like Rowling. And she's talked about it with Troubled Blood as well. She said I wanted to write a cold case novel. I wanted to write about.
You said Troubled Blood, you meant Running Grave, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
the
yeah,
cult novel.
no, the cold case novel.
Cold case. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
She wanted to write a cold case novel. So I think I'm sure that's true. I'm sure she has a list of goals that she wants to write. I'm sure that when she wrote Silkworm, before when the plot was still at the very most amorphous genesis, she said, I want to write about my industry. I want to write about the writing industry and agents and publishers and awful novelists.
Yeah. Basically I want, yeah. That's and that's as we said, that's the origin out of which all the rest of it
Yeah,
grows. It's really not book one. Because she has quite, we don't know quite yet what the 10-book series structure is going to be, but we
no,
know there is one.
yeah,
That uh, yeah, and Troubled Blood, starting off with a reference to where Agatha Christie lived, and it being a poisoner novel.
yes,
That she wanted to write an Agatha Christie poison novel, and we got Troubled Blood, which
yeah,
is the best Agatha Christie novel ever written.
yeah,
That like and Career of Evil being an Ian Rankin novel, it really is. It's a Rebus novel.
yeah.
That's so you can go through it and see what she's doing there, and it's brilliant. I'm not sure what Hallmark Man qualifies as. Um, it's one of these, maybe that's one of its failings, is that you don't sense that there's that
Yeah.
she's playing that same game.
I mean, she's
It's not a
called
James.
she's called it. She wanted to write a locked room mystery.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
Okay.
I
And
hope
that's
she's.
also why it would be a fail, wouldn't it?
I still hope she does want to write the locked room mystery,
That's
and
vicious.
I
Okay.
can, I can suggest to her a locked room. Actually, she's already introduced it to us in Running Grave, and that's Charlotte's bathroom was locked.
That's so yes, I mean that's great. We were looking forward to that. Finally, her writing a successful locked room mystery. That's good. That's good. All right. So anyway, that for me, the the narrative misdirection for the series, leading to Oscar and a knee. There's a bunch of them, right? But
Yeah.
I think Strike Eight. I think I may actually have to bump Strike Eight here. I
Okay.
think Strike Eight. I think Strike Eight is a novel. Is the narrative misdirection for the big reveal we're going to get in Strikes 9 and 10?
Yeah.
That almost everything we get inside Hallmark Man is either a marker or is a setup. I know I included in the notes to yesterday's conversation the post that was put on the end of your Charlotte was murdered post, where the man says, "I went back and read Running Grave in light of Hallmark Man, and I can see that Rowling is all she's doing is setting us up because there's a big overlap between those two books, and Ryan Murphy is right at that intersection."
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to get. So I'm going to take that reader's insight and I'll repeat it again down below to say that that's going to be the narrative misdirection of the best one of the series. Is going to be just the existence of Strike 8 and its overlap in timing with the events of Running Grave. How's that for weird?
That
Kind of blows
works.
up my thesis that
Yeah.
Strike 8. Go ahead. What's yours?
So for Strike Eight, um, I guess the disappearance of Rupert. But I guess because Strike was very openly and deliberately misdirecting us because he wasn't investigating the disappearance of Rupert. And not because the client told him that she didn't want him to investigate it, because we know he told Izzy Chisel, you don't get to dictate to me what I investigate. You give me the problem and I come up with the answers. Um, but for purely selfish reasons. So for purely selfish reasons, he fails to investigate the disappearance of Rupert.
Now, this is funny because Strike's only hope of winning Robin is Anteros.
Yeah.
And in this book, he puts on his Cupid costume.
Yeah.
It's just like okay, you really don't get it, which is great. This is great. Other than the whole book being narrative misdirection, for me, Strike 8, the best piece was Robin in Masham. And we're getting all these characters from previous books popping up. I mean, it's really fast. We're getting the whole, of course, the whole Ellicott clan, but we're and the drama with Martin and his wife and stuff. That's all very exciting. But then who appears but Matt? And his and the pregnancy trap princess. I mean, this and their daughter, and she's pregnant, and they're gonna have you. We're totally consumed by that. Robin is drunk. Robin is pasted. And so she goes outside where what Matt is smoking or something,
Yeah.
and she's surfing through her phone, hoping that Strike will text her or something. And she comes up with this bizarro connection with a murder case in Belgium. Well, Nick, I don't know about you, but I was like, wow, this is so stupid. We're going to spend time on this Belgium case. And it turns into like a volleyball game between her and Strike about whether this is going to be put on the board or
Yeah. He
not.
he
And,
keeps taking it up. Yeah.
and I'm thinking, this Belgium case, what a stupid thing. She was drunk. The words don't even sound remotely, like the name that this couple quoted in their flat, the council flat. I was really just totally dismissive of the Belgian murders, and that's the case. That's the whole heart of the story. That's Yolanda. I was seriously, Nick, totally captured me. I was blown away.
Okay.
You? Well, I mean, there's also there's the whole Muslim thing that goes on too.
Yeah.
We get the knifing on the bridge, and we get the whole story of Neil and his friend that was murdered by ISIS, which is rolling, finally allowing that Islam, or at least Islamicists, are a threat, are dangerous in some fashion. She introduces that to the story. I thought there was going to be more about that Muslim family with the daughter in the wheelchair. But that seemed to be her counterpose, so she wasn't accused of Islamophobia. It seems to be one of her overriding concerns is not to be an Islamophobe. It's like the guy running for mayor in New York City saying, just how bad Muslims had it in New York after 9/11. I was just like, oh yeah, it must have been horrible for those poor Muslims in New York City. Nothing came of that. Nothing came of that. Maybe we'll get some more of that in the next couple of books. How do we sum all this up then, Nick?
Wow.
What do we got?
So, great trip down memory lane. I think it is worth every now and again just reviewing what we do enjoy about this book series. I think looking through both of our answers for book 8 now, when Rowling's at her best, I think if we had done this exercise certainly after Troubled Blood, probably after Running Grave, actually the scores comparing the whole series to the latest book wouldn't be that wide apart.
Actually, you love the latest book. You're
I
a
always
real
do.
fan of the latest book.
I always do. But looking through our answers here, there's just too many that we're saying, well, there's this, but it wasn't really a drop the book moment. And well, there's this, but it really wasn't that funny. There are brilliant moments. So we talk about the takedown of Bramford was masterfully done and just so enjoyable to read. There's the Lancaster, both senior and junior, the interviews with the Lancasters. They are both deliciously drawn, awful characters. I think we are going to see them again. Certainly, Valentine Lancaster, right in the middle of that book, I think we're going to look back and call that a pivotal scene.
Sasha too.
Yeah, but I finished the book. I wasn't saying this is the best thing I've ever read. This is my new favorite, which is unusual. Is unusual for me. It's still a great book. It's a really enjoyable book. And I think a large part of the problem is we aren't really going to understand it until we get to 8, until we get to 9 and 10. At least that's what I hope. That's seriously what I hope.
I'm going to be, usually I'm the contrarian guy in here, Nick, to say, Nick, let me give you the larger perspective, but here I'm going to say, yeah, I'm the guy who's never on board with the latest book being the greatest book, except for Troubled Blood. I thought that was the greatest book. But this book, as we've said really from the start, we can be pretty sure that it's going to be most notable for how it sets us up for 9 and 10.
Yeah.
That we get Sasha, we get Valentine, we get Dino, we get that family, that backdrop there for the Charlotte story. And we got Ropey finally for the Lita Strike adventure. We've got the setup now so that Robin, who has been totally just exploded, I mean, just ridiculously exploded again and again and again exploded. Now she's finally going to be put back together with this Jungian crone analyst. This is a transition book, a bridge book that has its own merits. Now, and I think the merits are going to be revealed mostly in the close reading for the structural analysis. We know that Rowling really invests herself inside the structures, and that the close reading necessary to get the structures is probably going to bring up a lot more of the allegorical and anagogical material. So I do want that's I'm working on that for the paid subscribers. I've given them a couple of long lectures about ring composition to get them set for this. Now the next video is going to be about how to read Hallmarked Man as a ring composition to see if it is one. Now, clearly, ring composition is one of those things is if you're not looking for it, you're probably not going to see it. And then when you see it, you can't unsee it. But let's see if it's there. It is possible that it's not there. I have looked at the first two parts and charted them, and it's there. So we're going to go through that and see if the intrinsic value of the book reveals itself more on that kind of slow mining, as Ruskin said you have to do before painting. If you do that slow mining in a book largely about metallurgy, that you should be able to see its merits that may have been lost on the first several reads. But right now, I think look at them all and then look at Hallmarked Man, you're going to say, not up to standard. But again, I'm going to put my little mark on that to say, I haven't done the charting. Let me go back and see that. I don't think I'm going to find a troubled blood underneath the rock, but I will look hard to see if it's there.
Exciting stuff, John.
We've got. I'm working on online course. I'm revitalizing Wizard Reading Formula. It's going to be offered on a different platform, and it'll be offered at a price. Certainly, those people that are paid subscribers here will get a huge discount on that. I'm also working on packaging up some work you and I have done and putting that with real transcripts up so people can access that material. And I'm thinking about doing a names post that we can talk about, where I want to take unfortunately, Hallmarked Man we had over 100 characters in this book, right? Wasn't that the number we came up with finally, like 115 or something? No, I'm not doing 115 characters, but I do want to talk about some of them. Most notably, and we've had this conversation in the threads down below a post, Betty. Isn't it Betty?
Yeah.
The name of the new dog,
yes.
Which I think was a Labrador Retriever, but that was your find, Nick. That was brilliant. That was a great one. All right. Thank you to our paid subscribers. Thank you to our free subscribers. Thanks to the audience. Thanks to all you that write in. And thank you most of all, Nick, for making all this possible.
Thank you, John. And thank you, everyone. Please do comment down below. Let us know where we're wrong. Love to read what you think.
We're not wrong.
Take care, John. Bye, everyone.